Good. Yeah. Hello.
Hi.
We thought. I'm not sure about that. Ooh,
It's alright.
yeah, it's probably a 3-drink grower.
Let it breathe.
It's still
Briefly.
let it breathe in your mouth. Yeah. So this one's called Meltemi. We bought it non-ironically as the Meltemi was blowing like 45 knots. We couldn't go anywhere and we thought, yeah, well, you know, might as well gain something. It's a bit, yeah, it's alright. So we thought we would share a drink with you and just talk about sailing.
Yeah, we've been doing that for about a year now.
We have been sailing for
We launched in July, didn't we?
yeah,
And it's September now.
year and a half.
Getting on.
I sailed growing up as a little one. Dinghy sailing mainly. Then wasn't a lot to do in the town where I was from. There was a pond, literally a pond, not even a lake. So my parents threw us on that. We did a lot of racing, went to university, did a lot of drinking, sometimes sailing. And yeah, now we're here. You, on the other hand,
I had never sailed at all. In fact, I'd never been on a sailing boat. I kind of like the idea of it. I've read Swallows and Amazons, so that was a good start. What did my sister describe me as? Like, when we told her about it, she said,
on a scale of 0 to Ray Mears.
yeah.
You-
How outdoorsy was I on a scale of 0 to Ray Mears? And it was -2.
-2. At this point, we'd already committed. We bought the boat, and I was like, oh.
Thing is, I didn't really like outdoorsy when it was getting muddy in fields and going on endless walks in uncomfortable clothes and getting wet. Outdoorsy on the sea, or even by the sea, is a different state of affairs really, and I think you just need to find your element, don't you? And also I had a point to prove.
Yeah.
Also a good starting point.
You've done amazing though. I mean, for someone that's never sailed to like basically move on to a sailing boat, you know, borderline insane, but blimey, how much have you learned?
Oh, I have learnt a lot. Sometimes I have to remind myself. I can remember I did this competent crew course and like I passed it, but I'm not sure the instructor would have thought I'd done particularly well. But the thing is, like, I hadn't got the foggiest idea. I saw this tangle of bits of rope and sails and winches and things that I didn't know the name of and all sorts of stuff. I hadn't got the foggiest idea what any of it was, how it fit together, what it did, like how it worked. And about the best I could hope for was just to carry out instructions as they were giving. I didn't really understand it at all. And by the end of the week, I'd learned some stuff and it was a bit more coherent. But that was it really, that's all I did. I didn't go on a boat again until we bought Caladh. And fortunately, that was a 44-foot Bavaria that I did the competent crew on. It was quite a lot bigger. Caladh's more straightforward. Which was part of the attraction, honestly. It felt a bit more manageable. And now, I at least understand basically how it all fits together most of the time.
I think that when you're learning as well, like you're with, normally if you're like on a course, you're with like 6 other people.
Yeah.
You know, they're trying to like teach 6 people all at all different levels, different things. What was the point? I've lost my trail of thought.
Oh, I don't know.
So yes, so you've gone from, you know, like a course like that where with 6 people, it's quite different, isn't it? Like you've managed to immerse yourself, basically. difficult. I mean...
Well, there's that thing about learning when it's like really intense when you have to do something, and when you're in a situation where it's just required that you understand it. You don't really have time to think about it.
Learning out of necessity.
Yeah. Yeah. Nothing like it. We've had a few.
Oh God, and Jesus,
points.
the learning every day. I'm like, okay, that's one for the. Yep, that's one for the school notes. Yep, that's another learning lesson. Like every day.
Yeah.
What have you? Okay, what have you found helped? And if you were talking to someone now that was new to never sailed, what advice would you give?
Always ask why, because for me learning comes partly from repetition, but really, especially if it's something that's a bit more complicated, I really need to know why, you know, otherwise it just won't stick. And I think people can forget to explain that, and there's always a thing, isn't there, the more expert somebody is in something, the more they forget the need to explain the basics to people. People who are good at things don't always make the best teachers. Cath is a really good teacher.
Oh.
And you nearly always explain why, but sometimes I have to remember to ask.
It's because I open No, I mean, you've been amazing. Like, if you think how much... I mean, one of the hardest things, I think, is the things you can't see, like wind awareness. Just knowing where the wind's coming from. I think one of the things is predicting problems before they happen. So kind of foreseeing things that could go wrong and making sure they don't.
Yeah.
Navigation is really, it's difficult. It's not, you know, it's not to be sniffed at. Like, okay, we have all these like electronic devices that make it all easy, but fundamentally you need to not only understand how to interpret those electronic devices, but also know how to navigate using paper charts and all of that, just in case they all go wrong or you get hit by lightning.
Yeah, I was really glad I did the theory bit of the day skipper qualification, and not so really difficult. Why time not so difficult? I think Vicky said this when we interviewed her. Not to be sniffed at. Like, you can do them, and then when then they're required on demand, it all goes south. It's so true.
What about helming? Have you found, like, steering the boat?
Oh, not too bad. You have to remember to unlock the wheel. That's always a good start.
Oh, it had an incident where Mutti accidentally hit the autopilot on, and I was like, I've lost steerage. Like, I was literally 2 sniffs away from getting out the emergency tiller. And it's just things like that until it's happened to you. And we had, didn't we? We had a woman the other day who was leaving the port. Like, she was literally slipping the line, stern to, leaving in a really tight, kind of like 2 rafted up. This was in the Meltemi.
In a charter boat.
In a charter boat, and she was like, I haven't got steerage. Guys, I haven't got steerage. And I was like, is your autopilot on? She was like, yes. Hit standby, and that was that. Problem solved. But like, unless it's happened to you.
Yeah, well, you know, why would you even think of that?
You wouldn't even, yeah. So I think for me, it's been a lot of like learning by experiences happening to you for the first time.
Yeah.
So the engine braking, the windlass not working, the plotter going down, the bilges filling with water. What else has been like?
We weren't going to do like depressing.
No, we're not doing a depressing film.
No.
But I think there's something reassuring. Here's the positive has been. There's something reassuring about something happened to you for the first time, because that can't happen again.
Not for the first time.
For the first time?
No.
And you have a heightened awareness to these things.
Yeah, you learn from it, don't you?
Mm-hmm. I think my point is that you can spend a lot of time reading, learning, but actually time on the water and just like bloody do it.
And screwing it up. There's nothing like screwing something up for learning from it. Yeah. Within reason.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, you know, that could end terribly. But
Caladh.
Yeah, it could end terribly. But do you know what? Like, or you could just not do it. Yeah. And then you'd never do it.
And then the thing is, the bigger risk is not learning, isn't it? There's only 2 of us.
Yeah.
You know, I guess that's not that unusual.
No, for liveaboards. I mean, you know, you go on a course and there's 6 people on the course.
Yeah.
So they teach you with 6 people, okay, you're doing this job, you're doing that job, you're doing this one. You've always got 2 people on lookout, 3 people on the line, someone like roving fender.
Yeah.
Someone do, you know, and the you know, it's just, unless you're chartering, it's a totally different world, yeah.
Totally different experience.
Totally different. So the moral of the story is, if you've never sailed before,
come and help.
Come and help. Just, you know, just come and have a go. If you are a seasoned sailor but you stick to what you know and you don't swap roles with whoever's on board, swap roles.
Just have a go.
Have a go.
Yeah. We're trying to swap roles with everything, really. Kath's the skipper. This is interesting. Kath is clearly by far the most qualified of the 2 of us to be the skipper. She's sailed all her life. She's actually got the qualification, and I haven't. I think it's quite difficult because when we're on the move, we step into that kind of skipper role, and sometimes you're the skipper. We have started to do that, and that's good. It's not like Kath's technically the skipper, legally the skipper, but we swap that about a little bit.
Yep, swap it about, but then the moment the boat stops, I think sometimes we've heard anecdotes, haven't we, of even when the boat stopped, the skipper is still deciding which restaurant you go to or like what you do next, and it's like, no, like, you know, I think you have to have that clear delineation, don't you?
Yeah, we do, but we're trying to sort of switch that about a little bit more to keep, you know, so it's more interesting, fairer, and yeah. It's working actually.
Yeah.
It's working. We don't have a rota or anything.
No.
It's just like we have day on, day off cooking. And then it's easier, you know, because you're either cooking and washing up for the day or you're not. And we're not too fussy about it.
Yeah.
Like, you know, if we eat out.
And then
like,
we have
it's not
skipper
like
and
you have to cook
navigator
the next day or
yeah.
anything. Yeah, and we're trying to split the skipper navigator roles up a little bit as well, so I can take in more responsibility on the navigation.
Yeah, but we both drink the wine.
Joint responsibility.
Joint responsibility.